We're often taught that to achieve success and happiness, we need to control everything: our work, our relationships, even our future. But what happens when the more we try to control, the more exhausted and lost we feel? The real key lies in the opposite: letting go. Detach yourself from what's beyond your reach and focus on your own journey. Stoic philosophy isn't about being emotionless or shirking responsibility. It's the art of recognizing what you can change and knowing when to release what you cannot. When you learn to let go and concentrate on what truly matters, you'll not only find peace, but also uncover an inner strength you never knew existed. In today's video, I'll share with you 7 practical methods to help you let go of unnecessary burdens and focus on your own path. These are real-life experiences I've gone through, lessons I've paid a price to learn. So, stay focused and don't miss a single part of this video. This could be the first step in discovering your true path. Number 1. When less becomes everything. I want to begin with a simple yet challenging question. What is taking up too much space in your life? It could be material possessions, relationships, other people's expectations, or even those relentless negative thoughts. We often believe that having more will make us happier. But is that really the case? The more we accumulate, the more exhausted we become. The more we hold on, the more we feel the weight of loss. Stoic philosophy taught me that happiness doesn't come from gaining more, but from learning to let go. Epictetus once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." That quote hit me like a wake-up call after years of relentlessly chasing success and validation. I used to believe that a high-paying job would grant me freedom. But when I finally achieved it, I realized I had merely traded one form of chains for another: work pressures, family and societal expectations, and the constant fear of failure looming over me. That wasn't freedom. It was a gilded cage I had locked myself in. There came a time when I decided to let go of it all: my stable job, unnecessary social ties, and even the habit of comparing myself to others. I left the city with just a small backpack and spent a few months living in the countryside. At first, the lack of things unsettled me. No internet, no hectic schedules, no one reminding me of what I should be doing. But gradually, I began to feel an odd sense of relief. I no longer had to force myself into the version of me that society expected. I started to notice beauty in the little things: the morning sunlight, the scent of fresh grass, and the calm that settled in my mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." As I let go of negative thoughts and invisible pressures, I found my mind clearer and more at peace than ever before. But how do we truly live with less? It's not just about shedding material possessions. It's a deep, spiritual journey. First, try practicing mindfulness. Each day, set aside some time to sit still and do nothing. It sounds simple, but in today's fast-paced world, sitting quietly without feeling guilty or anxious is a real challenge. When you allow yourself to pause, you'll start to notice what you truly need. Next, declutter both your living space and your mind. You can begin by removing unnecessary items from your home, those things you keep just in case, but really, they only clutter your space. Similarly, examine the thoughts and relationships that drain your energy. Do you really need to stay connected with everyone? Do all criticisms deserve your attention? Another practice that has been incredibly effective for me is minimalist journaling. Instead of listing endless tasks, each morning I write down just the 3 most important things for the day. This helps me focus on what truly matters and avoids getting caught up in trivialities. By the end of the day, I feel fulfilled, even if I've only completed those 3 small tasks. I know letting go isn't easy. We cling to the familiar because it gives us a sense of security, but it's in that very act of letting go that you'll find freedom. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." When you stop longing for what you don't need, you'll realize how rich you truly are. Imagine what your life would look like if you let go of everything that no longer serves your path. What if you were no longer haunted by the need for perfection? What if you stopped comparing yourself to others? I believe you'd find the peace you've been searching for all along. And before we move on to the next lesson, I want to leave you with one final question. If today you kept only what truly matters, what would your life look like? Let this question guide you on your journey back to yourself. Because when less becomes everything, you don't just find freedom, you find your true self. Number 2, the beauty of letting it slip away. Imagine standing beside a river. In your hand is a small leaf, symbolizing your burdens, worries, and all the things beyond your control. You clutch it tightly, unwilling to let go. But the longer you hold on, the more the leaf withers, and the more exhausted you become. So why not release it into the water and let it drift away? That's not a loss. That's freedom. That's the beauty of letting go. Stoic philosophy isn't about cutting off your emotions or becoming indifferent. It teaches you to face life with clarity, to see that everything changes, and within that change lies beauty. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are, and to make new things like them." Life is an unending flow, and when you learn not to resist it, you'll find yourself living more authentically, more lightly. Have you ever considered that it's the act of holding on that causes your pain? A relationship that no longer brings you joy, yet you can't walk away because you fear loneliness. A job that drains you, but you refuse to quit because you're afraid of failure. If the answer is yes, you're not alone. I once clung to a project I had poured my heart into, even though it clearly no longer aligned with my path. I had invested time, effort, and belief in it. But the more I pushed forward, the more lost I felt. Until one day, I asked myself, does continuing this really make me happy? The answer was no, so I let go. Strangely, as I allowed it to drift away, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief, as if I had just dropped a heavy backpack after a long journey. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we perceive and respond to it. Instead of fighting against life's current, why not flow with it and seek new opportunities along the way? So, how do you practice letting go in a stoic yet heartfelt way? Start by embracing the art of losing. Every day, choose one small thing to release. It could be the irritation when someone cuts in line, or the disappointment when you don't meet your own expectations. See these things as leaves on the river. You could hold on to them, but why would you when you can let them float away and feel lighter? Another approach is practicing the art of impermanence. Each morning, as you wake up, Take a minute to remind yourself that everything you have today might not be there tomorrow. It may sound pessimistic, but it actually helps you cherish the present more deeply and detach from external things. When you understand that everything is temporary, you learn to savor each moment without fearing loss. You can also try writing an unsent letter. Write to yourself or to someone you're struggling to let go of. Pour out all your feelings, thoughts, and expectations. When you're done, don't send it. Instead, burn the letter or tear it up and throw it away. It's a powerful way to release emotions without confronting anyone directly. Seneca once said, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." Don't let unnecessary things occupy your mind. Each day is a new life, and you have the power to choose what you carry with you on that journey. Finally, remember that letting go doesn't mean giving up. When you let things drift away, you're not losing anything. You're simply making space for better things to come. Like releasing a kite. You're not making it disappear. You're letting it soar higher, freer, and you, too, will rise. So, what about you? What are you ready to let go of today? What burdens will you release into the river of life to rediscover the freedom and peace within your soul? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to listen and walk this journey with you. And if you want each day to feel a little lighter, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I share new videos daily to inspire and support you on your path to finding yourself again. Number 3. Invisible chains we choose to wear. Have you ever felt stuck? Yet when you look around, there are no walls or locked doors in sight. It's like swimming in a crystal clear pool, no barriers, no limits. But it feels as if tons of rocks are tied to your feet. The truth is, no one is holding us back. Not our bosses, not our families, not society. The chains that keep us from moving forward are the ones we've placed on ourselves. Imagine standing in the middle of a crowded square, hundreds of eyes seemingly watching your every move. You're tense, anxious about every small action, afraid of being judged. But here's the irony. No one's actually paying attention to you. They're all preoccupied with their own invisible chains. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. We love ourselves more than anyone else, yet we care more about others' opinions than our own." Strange, isn't it? I remember the first time I realized I was wearing those invisible chains. It was when I turned down a job opportunity because I was afraid I wasn't good enough. I made all sorts of excuses. That job isn't the right fit. I'm not ready yet. But the truth was, I was afraid of failing. I feared the disappointed looks if I didn't perform well. But then I realized it wasn't the job that was holding me back. It was my fear. And when I let go of that fear, not only did I find a better suited job, but I also felt a profound sense of relief, like I had taken off a backpack full of rocks I didn't even know I was carrying. So, how do we break free from these chains? The first step is recognizing them. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of something? When you feel pressure, pause and trace its source. It might be fear of rejection or the need to be perfect. But here's the thing, perfection is a trap. It makes you feel like you'll never be enough. Try this simple exercise. Write down 3 things that have made you feel tied down recently. It could be others' expectations, work pressure, or fear of failure. Then ask yourself, if I let this go, What's the worst that could happen? More often than not, the worst-case scenario is just temporary discomfort. But in exchange, you gain freedom. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We suffer more in our minds than in real life. We fear failure so much that we don't even try. We fear rejection so deeply that we don't dare to love." But in reality, what we fear is rarely as terrifying as we imagine. And even when failure happens, it's just part of your journey, not the end. Another method I love is practicing paradox. If you fear rejection, put yourself in situations where you might be rejected. Ask for small things you know will likely be denied, like requesting a discount at a store that doesn't offer promotions. The more you do this, the more you'll realize that rejection holds no power over you. Those invisible chains will start to loosen. Remember, freedom isn't about having no limits. It's about knowing which limits truly matter. When you understand which boundaries you've chosen for yourself and which ones are imposed by fear or expectations, you'll realize you have the power to decide. You can choose not to let fear control your mind, not to let invisible pressures weigh you down. In that very moment, you'll feel an inner strength ignite, the strength of someone truly free from within. Imagine waking up one morning with no pressures, no fears, just you and your path. You can walk lightly, unburdened by invisible weights. And the best part, you don't need anyone to unlock those chains for you. You hold the key. Invisible chains only exist if you believe they do. Once you stop believing in them, you'll see you've been free all along. Now is the time to break them and start living the life you truly want. Number 4, leaving without moving an inch. We often believe that to escape an uncomfortable situation, we must do something, move to a new place, quit our job, end a relationship, or even embark on a distant journey to find ourselves. But there's another way, one that the Stoics taught thousands of years ago. You don't need to go anywhere. You just need to let go of what's holding you back. This is the art of leaving without taking a single step. I once had a friend who was constantly miserable at work. He hated his boss, disliked his colleagues, and every morning felt like a battle just to get out of bed. He thought if he could find another job, everything would be better. But after switching jobs a few times, that feeling of dissatisfaction didn't go away. Eventually, he realized the problem wasn't the job, it was how he viewed it. He started practicing Stoic philosophy, refusing to let external factors dictate his emotions. Instead of complaining about his boss, he focused on what he could control, how to work more efficiently, how to respond more positively. And something strange happened. When he stopped fighting against his job, the dissatisfaction disappeared. He had left the negativity, even though he was still in the same place. Do you recognize something familiar in this story? Have you ever thought that if you had a better job, more money, or if people treated you better, you'd be happier? But the truth is, even if those things happened, you might still feel empty. The issue isn't your circumstances, it's how you allow those circumstances to affect you. Epictetus once said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance." You can live in the same world as everyone else, but how you experience that world creates a completely different reality. Leaving isn't about running away, it's about refusing to let unnecessary things control your mind. So how can you practice this in everyday life? First, try the art of inner observation. When you feel angry, frustrated, or anxious, don't react immediately. Instead, ask yourself, does this emotion truly reflect reality, or is it just my interpretation of it? Simply recognizing that difference is the first step in leaving negative emotions behind. Second, practice mental distancing. When faced with an uncomfortable situation, imagine you're an outsider watching yourself. For example, if someone insults you, instead of reacting right away, picture it as if you're watching a movie where you are the main character. Does it still seem as serious as you first thought? This distance helps separate your emotions from your reactions, giving you the calmness to handle things more wisely. Finally, practice gratitude, one of the most powerful tools in Stoic philosophy. Each day, spend a few moments writing down 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small: a warm cup of coffee in the morning, sunlight streaming through the window, or even the ability to read these words. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you'll realize you've already left that sense of scarcity and dissatisfaction long ago. Now, let me ask you this. What are you holding on to that no longer serves your growth? Are you trapped in an invisible room you've built for yourself? Remember, you don't need to change the world to feel free. Freedom begins within you, in how you choose to perceive and respond to life. You can leave at any moment without taking a single step. And when you do, you'll realize that you've always held the key to your peace and happiness. Now, congratulations on making it halfway through this journey with me. Give this video a like to mark this milestone that few people reach, because not everyone has the patience and courage to face themselves and explore the hidden corners of their mind. But remember, every part of this journey is a crucial piece of the puzzle, and only when you reach the end will the picture of letting go and focusing on your own path truly come together. So, don't take your eyes off the video. The most valuable part is still waiting for you at the end of this journey. Number 5. The quiet power of walking alone. Have you ever tried sitting in a bustling cafe without touching your phone, without scanning the room for a familiar face, just sitting there, alone? How did that feel? Awkward? Uneasy? Or perhaps empty? We live in a world where being busy and constantly connected is often seen as the measure of our worth. But what if I told you that it's precisely in those moments when you step away from the crowd that you truly tap into your inner strength? Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to become isolated, but it shows us that stillness and solitude are the gateways to inner freedom. I used to believe that to be strong, I needed recognition, a circle of people around me to validate my worth. But then, on a day drenched in heavy rain, when all my plans were cancelled, I was forced to spend the entire day with myself. No friends' laughter, no lively conversations, just me and my thoughts, the very ones I had always avoided. And that's when I realized, we're not afraid of being alone. We're afraid of facing ourselves. Have you ever wondered, who are you when no one is watching? When no one is liking your posts, praising you, or criticizing you? The answer lies in those quiet moments. And surprisingly, when you embrace walking alone, you not only find yourself but also discover a silent, steadfast strength, the strength of being at peace with who you are. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. So why do we care so much about what others think? Why don't we allow ourselves to wander freely down our own path, instead of tirelessly following in someone else's footsteps?" To practice the power of walking alone, you don't have to give up everything and live atop a mountain. Instead, try small but challenging things. A day without social media, an evening without texting anyone, a solo picnic with just you and your journal. At first, there will be an emptiness, but you know what? It's in that emptiness that you'll finally have the space to truly listen to yourself. There's a practice I always recommend, and it's so simple, you'll wonder why you've never tried it before. Sit down at the end of the day and write down 3 things you feel when no one else is around. Don't write what you think others want to hear. Write the truth. Write for yourself. Day by day, you'll notice the negative thoughts start to fade, making room for peace. That's the quiet power you've been searching for. And if you're worried that walking alone will make you weak or leave you behind, remember Seneca's words. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. We learn as we teach. When you're strong enough to walk alone, you're also strong enough to choose relationships that truly matter. In the end, I want to ask you, are you living your own life, or the life others expect of you? When you dare to walk alone, you'll discover that everything you've been searching for outside has always existed within you. No noise, no show, just you and the path you choose. Be brave enough to keep going, even if you're walking alone, because sometimes it's in solitude that we find the true path forward. And when you learn to cherish those solitary steps, to enjoy the journey you've crafted for yourself, you'll realize that freedom isn't what you once thought it was. But what is true freedom? That's something I'll share with you in the next lesson. Number 6. Freedom is not what you think. When you hear the word freedom, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Maybe it's spontaneous trips with no set plans, a job where no one's looking over your shoulder, or even the ability to say and do whatever you want without fear of judgment. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is that true freedom? Or is it just an illusion we chase, while quietly wearing the invisible chains we don't even realize are there? Imagine standing atop a mountain, surrounded by endless open space, with nothing and no one holding you back. But in your mind, you're anxious about things that haven't even happened yet. What if I fail? What will people think of me? And just like that, even though your body is in the vastest of places, your mind is trapped in a tiny box of fear and expectation. Is that really freedom? Epictetus, a Stoic who was once a slave, said something that made me reflect deeply. Is freedom anything else than the right to live as we wish? Nothing else. We think we crave freedom, but we often fail to see that freedom isn't just the right to do, it's the right to let go. Letting go of the negative emotions we unknowingly cling to. I remember attending an important meeting once. Everything was going smoothly until someone voiced an opinion that contradicted mine. Instantly, I felt irritated, defensive, ready to argue to protect my viewpoint. But then a question echoed in my mind. Does this really matter? Why am I letting a small comment affect my whole mood today? In that moment, I realized I was handing over control of my emotions to someone else. And when I let go of the need to be right, I felt lighter and freer than ever. So, how do we achieve this kind of freedom? Try this simple exercise. Next time you feel angry, anxious, or frustrated, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. Is this within my control? Will my reaction help this situation? If I let go of this emotion, how would I feel? You'll be surprised to find that most of what stresses you out is beyond your control. and it's the attachment to those things that makes you feel trapped. Another practice is to slow down for a day. Spend 24 hours without checking social media, without rushing through a packed schedule. Instead, observe your thoughts, listen to your body, and tune into your emotions. When you're no longer distracted by external noise, you'll realize that freedom isn't about doing more. It's about feeling more. Feeling the peace that comes when your mind relaxes, no longer swept away by the world's chaos. Seneca once said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." Freedom or not, happiness or not, it all depends on how you view life. Change your mindset, and you'll change your entire world. Imagine waking up one day and no longer feeling the pressure to prove anything to anyone. No longer haunted by the past, no longer anxious about the future. You just live, fully and freely in every moment. That's true freedom. And the best part? You don't have to go anywhere or become anyone else to find it. That freedom has always been here, within you. So, are you ready to break free from the invisible chains holding your mind back and step into true freedom? Freedom doesn't come from the outside. It starts from within. If you feel it's time to take control of your thoughts and emotions, comment "Freedom Within" to mark the moment you begin this journey. Don't wait any longer. Let go of what no longer serves you and start truly living today. Number 7. Owning nothing, having it all. This lesson sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? Owning nothing but having everything. But sometimes it's the things that seem illogical that hold the deepest truths. We live in a world where everything revolves around having more money, more success, more followers on social media. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, does having more really make us happier? Stoicism teaches that the poorest person isn't the one who has the least, but the one who always craves more. Think about it. Isn't it those endless desires that truly exhaust us? We chase after society's image of success, only to feel empty when we finally reach it. And then we scramble to find something else to fill that void. But how do we let go and truly feel fulfilled? Don't worry, this isn't going to be a dry philosophy lecture. Let's start with a simple exercise. Imagine waking up tomorrow and losing everything. Your money, your job, even your home. How would you feel? Don't panic just yet. The strange thing is, when you let your mind face the worst-case scenario, you realize you're still okay. You still have yourself, your mind, your health, and your ability to start over. Practicing negative visualization, imagining losing what you have, helps you see that true value doesn't lie in what you own, but in who you are when you have nothing. Marcus Aurelius once emphasized, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Sometimes, a warm cup of tea on a quiet morning can bring more joy than any luxury car or mansion. But we often get swept up in society's race, where success is measured by what's outside of us. The funny thing is, when you no longer need those things, you realize you already have everything. Have you ever met someone who lives simply but is always smiling and at ease? Maybe it's the friendly security guard who greets you every morning with a warm grin, or the street vendor whose witty stories make you laugh. They don't own much, but they savor every moment. On the other hand, some people have everything but are constantly frowning, worried about losing what they possess. So, who's truly rich? And here's a little secret. Don't forget to declutter your mind the same way you tidy up your room. Every day, Write down 3 things you think you need to be happy. Then ask yourself, if I didn't have these, would I really be miserable? Gradually, you'll realize many of those things are just illusions. I still remember the first time I let go of my obsession with owning things. It was when I decided to sell the most expensive phone I'd ever bought and switch to a basic one that only made calls. At first, I felt like I was falling behind, lost in the fast-paced tech world. But then, I discovered I wasn't distracted by constant notifications anymore. I no longer compared myself to others on social media. My mind felt lighter and my heart felt freer. I no longer owned a smartphone, but I had all the freedom and peace I could ask for. Would you dare to live like that? Ask yourself, what's owning you? Maybe it's an item you can't throw away, a relationship you can't let go of, or an old dream that no longer fits who you are. When you dare to release those things, you're not just freeing up physical space, you're expanding your soul. In the end, remember that letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing what truly matters to you and allowing the rest to drift away. Owning nothing but having everything isn't about abandoning the world. It's about living fully in it, with a free spirit and a heart unburdened. And when you reach that state, you'll realize you don't need anything else, because you already have it all. We've just explored 7 powerful ways to let go, detach from what no longer serves you, and focus on your own unique path. Maybe somewhere in these reflections, you saw a glimpse of yourself, the times you tried to control everything but felt exhausted, the moments you clung to the past and forgot to live in the present. But here's the truth. When you finally dare to let go, you don't lose anything. In fact, you gain something far more valuable. You uncover a freer, lighter, and stronger version of yourself. That's the gift Stoicism offers to those brave enough to loosen their grip and trust their journey. If this video resonated with you in any way, but you haven't hit like yet, go ahead and leave a little mark. It means the world to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to drop a comment and share your experiences. And if you know someone who might need to hear this message today, don't hesitate to share this video with them. You never know how much of a difference it could make. Finally, make sure to subscribe, because there's so much more inspiration and wisdom coming your way. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.